All right, so Jacob recommended a film for us. Let's talk about it.
All right, so
Yeah.
I recommended the 1997 masterpiece from Wong Kar-wai, Happy Together. It's about a couple that takes a trip to Argentina, I guess, in search of a new beginning, but instead find themselves drifting even further apart. That's
I
the
Damn.
mean, yeah, but like, I think that like that's you got that from Letterboxd, right?
Yep.
I think that no. There's no
Perfect.
problem with that. I'm not like making fun of you. I think that that's funny because that's literally not really the story. It's like they go
No,
to
it's not.
Argentina, yeah, but like at the same time they like break up in Argentina and they're both like fucking
Yep.
stranded there or some shit. Like,
Yeah, they
you
break
know,
up in
so
Argentina and they stay
yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah. Spoilers for Happy Together if you haven't seen it. So
Spoilers.
that,
Spoilers.
Yes.
That
that's your
was
fault, not
literally
ours,
we
because we
literally
always
spoiled it
spoil.
instantly. So there you go.
No, but like, yeah, but like
Whoops.
that's literally revealed in I always consider stuff that's revealed in the first 10 minutes not to be spoiler, no matter how big, because like you can figure that out from watching in the first 10 minutes. Usually, I'm usually pretty like, who cares?
Yeah.
Well, who should go after? Who should go after? Oh wait, Jacob, you should give your thoughts on
Jacob.
it. Yeah.
Okay. Let's see here. Where do I start? So, cinematography wise, it's probably my favorite out of any One Kar Wai film. Like, I love how it uses the black and white to emphasize when it's past tense, and then I guess color when it's in the present tense. I thought that was just all very well done. I don't know. Um, just the tint over the film, the green and yellow tint, is just used so well. It's just such a beautiful movie. Like all Wong Kar Wai films are beautiful,
Mhm.
but this one's just, I mean, just beautiful as well. I
Yeah.
mean, in terms of camera movement, it's fantastic as well. The character arcs are pretty great. I mean, I just really connected with sort of the themes in the film of love and depression. It's just portrayed so well. To me, it just seemed like the most like really character based out of any of the Wong Kar Wai films, like the most character study ish. And
Yeah.
yeah, it just really connected me. Like everything that happened just worked well with me. Sort of the different metaphors with the waterfall and other things. It was just beautiful. All the emotional moments really hit hard, and yeah,
Yeah.
it's just amazing. I literally have no flaws with it. I'm excited to hear. I'm more
Awesome.
intrigued to hear what you guys have a flaw with. So anyway,
Yeah, Happy Together. It's really good. It's dope. It's I hate to call it like just another Wong Kar-wai movie, but it's very similar to his other movies where he's exploring love again and like what it means to be in a relationship, stuff like that. But in this one,
He's doing his
I
thing.
found it to be much more aggressive and obviously because it's quite the toxic relationship.
yep,
And it's very different from like Chunking Express or like In the Mood for Love, where in those movies it's more of a restraint when it comes to love or loneliness.
Yeah.
And you have those moments here, but in Happy Together it's much more, I guess, visceral, and it's much more in your face, which I
true.
really appreciated how he didn't really sugarcoat anything. Like it's like
Nope.
pretty hard to watch him like, damn, can you just love each other? But
Not when one of them's a manipulative cock horse.
exactly. There's a lot of like gaslighting. There's a lot of like just horrible, horrible shit that tends to happen in real
Yeah.
relationships, and you can really feel the pain of Tony Young's character,
Tony Leon.
especially like
Oh yeah.
towards the end, where we'll
Yeah,
discuss it later. But there's a specific scene where I almost like teared up
I
because I was
did
just
in
like,
that scene. I
damn,
think I know what you're talking about because like
yeah,
that scene
yeah.
made me tear up for sure. It was just so emotionally
That
impactful.
was probably my favorite scene. I was
Mhm.
Yeah,
just like, damn, I
yeah,
felt that. But
Yeah.
overall, it's beautifully presented. It's wonderful to look at. The colors are so beautiful. It's
exactly.
it has such a unique color palette,
Uh,
It
even
does.
to his other movies. You
I
know,
know.
yeah.
It's just so unique.
I just wanted to say that when you said wonderful, it sounded like you said waterfall, and I was like, what?
waterfall.
Get it? Because themes of We'll get to it.
Man, that waterfall scene was awesome too.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
Yes. But I'll talk about it when we get into
Mm-hmm.
spoilers, because I got something to say about that scene.
Oh boy, you fucker.
No, nothing like that.
Nah, but Yeah, other than that, it's just well performed. The editing, while I did have a few like nitpicks with it, because sometimes it was like quite erratic and like spontaneous. I appreciated it for the most part. And
Yeah.
what else can I say?
And I feel like
Yeah,
that's kind of
it's a
the point
great
of
movie.
it being erratic, like just kind of
Yeah,
to
yeah,
show their
yeah,
relationship is that way, sort of. So
yeah. That's it though. It's a great movie, great
Yeah.
Wong Kar Wai film. Xander.
All right. Well, this is a movie that I think I just purely feel really good about. I've seen better Wong Kar-wai films. I still think that Fallen Angels and In the Mood for Love are a little better in my eyes, but honestly, I think I enjoyed it more than I did Chungking Express maybe and his debut film. Which I wanted to go back and watch some of his earlier films. I only got to his debut film, which I was not. I was just kind of like decent on. It's fine. I'm never gonna see it again. But I also tried rewatching Fallen Angels, which was my first Wong Kar-wai film, and I hadn't seen it in a very long time. And I think that the whole restoration thing that Wong Kar-wai went through kind of made it difficult for me to like figure out what this movie was going for at times because I get the black and white was meant to symbolize stuff happening past tense, but honestly, I thought there was like one or two scenes where there was black and white in a moment where I was like, "Hold on, isn't this in the present though?" I guess I was just a little
oh,
confused
really?
by how it was yeah, yeah, I guess I was just a little confused by how it was presented. But I rewatched Fallen Angels and then I like kind of like skipped through the restoration version to see the changes. And I think that this version with Happy Together, I think that the restoration for Happy Together is honestly great because I went through the original and I was like, oh,
Yeah,
okay. I was able to understand a lot more of the changes and it made the film look a lot crisper, like much more crisp. Sorry, that crisp version
I
of
mm-hmm.
have
words.
I have a quick
But
question.
yeah, yeah.
Do you mind if I ask a question? I don't mean to interrupt, but
No, no, go ahead, go ahead.
um, I watched it on Criterion Channel, Aaron, before the Wong Kar Wai set came out. So did I watch the
Right.
original version or?
You watched the
I
original.
think you did. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Because I didn't see
Yeah.
that issue with it. Maybe that's why. Because I didn't watch I watched the original. I don't know.
No, it's probably an issue that it's not even an issue for me because I
Oh,
think I prefer the restored version for Happy Together at least. For Fallen Angels, fucking the original all the
Yeah, I
way.
think so too. Yeah.
But for Happy Together,
oh,
I think I
really?
prefer the restored because there's like
Maybe I
I
should
looked
watch
at
it
the
then.
changes and like it makes some scenes stand out a little more. Like the soccer scene is feels much more that those scenes are meant to represent like like friendship that he's finding with in a place that he isn't familiar with, and there's like a sense of warmth to those scenes, and it's
For
bathed
sure,
in
for
like a
sure.
golden and orange light, whereas in the original it's not the same way, and I'm like, oh, that kind of takes away a little bit of like the like the intent behind that scene for me, whereas in the restored version
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I'm able to connect much more to the warmth in that moment. Like the movie is genuinely human to me, and I really connected to that. Even if I don't think it's my favorite Wong Kar Wai film, I still think that it's one of his better ones. And honestly, like I've been watching way too much Wong Kar Wai recently because a bunch of friends of mine we were talking about Wong Kar Wai. I had to watch 2046, and then I was like, okay, I'm done watching Wong Kar Wai for a little while. And then all of a sudden, Jacob, you're like, oh, we're watching Happy Together, and I'm like, okay then, and watching that. So like I'm kind of burnt on Wong Kar Wai right now. So I'm probably not gonna watch any of his movies for like a while, unless it's like a rewatch of In the Mood for Love, because I actually need to rewatch that. But
Yeah.
I feel good about this movie, and it might I might feel better about it after the conversation or in the future. It's a movie that I could easily see changing in my eyes, and I love the performances. I love the visual style. A lot of the stuff, a lot of the meat of my notes is like stuff in like uh spoiler territory. A lot of it is in spoiler territory. So I'm just gonna hand the floor over to Vinny so he can get his thoughts out. What do you got, buddy?
Yeah, so this is actually my first Wong Kar-wai film,
Hmm.
and I gotta say I'm immensely impressed. I have to say I thought this movie was pretty great. I'd say like In terms of everything I got out of it, I think my major complaints are just purely subjective because I can't really think of anything objectively wrong with the writing, and I think the filmmaking is pretty fucking fantastic. The way that the colors pop. I think after seeing this, I'm very excited to see the visual like style of Wong Kar-wai's other movies because I think that's the thing he is really talented at, and I also think
Yeah.
For sure.
what makes his movie work really well is its depiction of its characters. It is a very uncompromising look at a relationship, and I think that's what
Hmm.
makes it work so well. Is just how the relationship is just portrayed as being like these characters. They're not they like. I think what if you're going to create a story, especially about relationships, you can't just have it be these two perfect characters who are just perfect for each other because
Oh no.
that's not at all what relationships are like. Relationships are full of trials and tribulations and like working really hard to like get to that point where the both of you are happy or like to get to some sort of level where the both of you are happy. And it at the end of the day, most relationships don't even end up that way. Most relationships just it's out of convenience. And I think that's what this movie demonstrates really well. I'd say
I agree.
yeah, to get a little bit more into like my subjective take on it, I think the movie comes across as kind of half formed, and I don't know why. It just feels incomplete. It kind of feels like it was a
Hmm.
mini series that was cut down because I wanted more. I just wanted more in
Huh.
general. Like it came across like maybe like a 5 episode miniseries that
Mm.
was like cut down and like had it.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, I get that actually. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I just it's like the same criticism I have with like Beauty and the Beast. I'm like I love a lot that's going on here, but like this is way too short. This needs to be longer. Like
Wait, what did you want more of though? Like, did you want more like out of like specifically? Just so I know, because I don't like remember super
not
well. I don't.
necessarily more of the relationship, but just more of the contrast between every other character, I'd say. Like I think the
Oh,
two main characters, they are great. They're brilliant, but like I think like all of those really like minuscule scenes we get with other individuals were so good that I wanted to see more of them as well. I don't know, maybe it's
Hmm.
just like I've been going through a lot of miniseries recently and I just want to like see like really fleshed out character pieces for like everybody and like that's just not what the goals of the movie are. But like I don't
hmm.
know, it's really like I cannot stress how this is literally just my own personal take on it and like
No, I get
Yeah.
that. And
No, I
my
get
view on
you.
it is that my view on this movie is that we're seeing the end of a relationship. Like this is not meant to be a movie where you're like getting more of the characters or them together, because we're seeing their relationship crash and burn. This is the end of
Yeah,
their partnership. So we're watching all the bitter loose ends meet, you know.
and
And
that's what's interesting. Is like,
honestly,
oh,
that's what I kind of love about this movie. I think that with this movie, it's almost like a complete contrast to In the Mood for Love. This In the Mood for Love is one side of the brain, and Happy Together is the other. In the Mood for Love is like
Yep.
warm and kind of inviting almost. Like you watch it and you're like, oh, this is actually kind of wonderful in a way. And then you
yeah,
watch this
yeah,
and it's like bitter and kind of spiteful and like almost hateful at points, like
yeah,
especially with the ending, like which I have my slight thing with, but we'll get to that anyway. It like I just kind of like how he's able to tell a love story that genuinely feels like curling up by a warm fire to one that feels like you're getting smacked in the face, just one that feels so
Yeah.
bitter
yeah.
and cold and like just, I really appreciate that, how he was able to communicate such a different style with kind of a similar like premise, I'm
Yeah.
not going to spoil In the Mood for Love, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, I just I agree because like I think it's interesting that like this movie starts at like the vacation point in the in the love story, and then it just kind of falls apart from there. Like usually you'd start where like they meet each other, then they fall in love, but no, you're skipped. I mean, you're in the first scene, you're right in the thick of their relationship. Like they act like they've known each other for like a very long time. So it's just an interesting choice, and I thought it was just really impressive.
Yeah, I
It
get
literally
that.
starts with them
yeah.
trying to fix each other.
Yeah.
Trying to fix the car and trying to get that going.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Well,
Even though
I don't I don't know if it was about them trying to fix each other as much as it was like what was it? Yu Lang? What was his name? Oh, U5. Sorry. U5
Yeah.
was trying to fix him, whereas Poe was trying to manipulate him. I don't know if it was them trying to fix each other more as
Yeah, I
one
would
was trying
argue.
to fix the
Yeah, Poe
other,
wasn't
and
really
the other
trying.
was trying to control the other.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, a little more.
For me, that's how I see it. And honestly, like the film got much better as it went along. Like I remember
For
like the
sure.
first 20 minutes I was kind of like, okay, this isn't bad, but it's not like I'm not like hooked yet. But like as it got more towards the halfway point, I was like, okay, I'm getting it more and more and more. And then I really once it clicked for me in the second half when it focused purely on the loneliness, and I really connected to that, and I got a lot more out of it as it
Same. Yeah.
progressed.
I just feel like the main thing for this movie with me is it just like I think a lot of people are gonna connect with a different Wong Kar-wai film. Like I don't think anyone's the same. Like all
No,
his
I
films
agree.
portray similar themes, and they're amazing visually. But when you don't connect with the characters or what's going on in the film, then you're just like, wow, well, this is a great like thing to look at. But I'm not exactly connecting anything, and I kind of felt that with films
Mhm.
like Chungking Express and Fallen Angels. Just on my first watch, on my second watch, I loved a lot more. But like this was just kind of the one where it just all like worked for me. Like
Yeah. I
everything
think for everyone
everything
there's going to
works
be like
so well for me, and it's like I just feel like
yeah,
yeah, for everyone it's different, you know what I mean?
for everyone
So,
there's going to be the one that they love and then the one that they don't 100% connect to. And for me that one is Chungking
yeah,
Express and 2046. Those are the two that I don't like 100% connect to, whereas like a lot of people, especially people in this chat are like fucking swear by, which is fine. Go ahead. You know. But
I feel
I got mine. You
yeah,
got
I
yours.
feel this is definitely the type of movie that I will definitely connect to a lot more on the rewatch, I think.
And you might honestly connect to it more after seeing more Wong Kar-wai, because that's kind of
Yeah.
how I felt with In the Mood for Love, honestly. Because I remember when I first watched it, I think I gave it like a 7. I was like, it's like not a great, but like I connect. I think it's fine. But then like over time and watching more Wong Kar-wai, especially romance, like solely romance based Wong Kar-wai, not like Fallen Angels romance, but like more
oh yeah,
this romance, like Chungking
yeah,
Express, and I think, yeah, I got much more out of In the Mood for Love, and now it's like my second favorite film from him because and all that is
Yeah.
simply from just watching his other movies. I haven't rewatched In the Mood for
exactly.
Love, like so it's like
This was
they get better in my mind the more I understand Wong Kar-wai's style, and I really appreciate
I,
that.
I completely agree because this was I think my fourth one I've seen Wong Kar-wai I watched, and there was like things I liked about each one, and then like but like once I think that once I the fact that I'd seen others and then I watched Happy Together, I was like, oh wow, like this one is like what those ones did, and then I actually really, really care about what's happening. Like this is fucking great. Like
Hmm.
I don't know. I think that definitely helps when you watch more. Like Vinny, when
Yeah.
you watch like
Definitely.
Chunking, In
Yeah.
the Mood for Love, Fallen Angels, you might I don't know. The fourth one you watch might be the one you love. Like who knows? Like
And I think this movie especially really won me over by the end of it.
it just gets better. Yeah.
Yeah, it does keep going. It does get better as it goes along, and like I said earlier, it really like by the end it won me over. Even if I do have like gripes with the ending, but do you want me to talk about them
What
now,
are?
or do you want to like talk about other
Yeah,
stuff?
yeah. Oh, I mean, I was wondering. Yeah, I'd like to know your
You
gripes
want
with
to?
the
Oh,
ending.
okay. Well, my main gripe is that the moment at the waterfall is such an impactful moment that when I was watching it,
Uh-huh.
I was like, "Holy crap! This is such a fucking awesome ending!" And then it keeps going, and I'm like, "Wait, what?" I was like, what if it ended at the
I
waterfall?
agree. Yeah.
I probably would have given this film a higher score, maybe honestly, because it was such a great cap, like such a great cap off to this very bitter and cold story that it actually has like kind of a delightful, happy ending. Like not that it has to have a happy ending, but like it kind of
Yeah.
it kind of makes sense here. Like the main character goes through so much that like he finally fulfills one of his wishes that he came to Argentina to do originally, and
Yeah.
then it doesn't end there, and I'm like, oh man, That would have been a
Ooh,
great
wait,
place
honestly,
to end.
I haven't seen it in so long. What happens after a waterfall? I forget.
Well, like,
After
he
the
goes back
waterfall, he
to
goes
Hong
back to
Kong, I think.
Taiwan and then Hong
Yeah,
Kong,
yeah,
and then
yeah.
it shows the coworker at the lighthouse. That was my biggest issue because I was like,
Oh
wait,
yeah,
I
I remember
don't,
that.
why the coworker at the lighthouse? If they showed that earlier, I probably wouldn't mind because yeah,
Exactly.
it just did not
Mm.
fit with me as an ending. I was like, man,
Um,
I was really loving that waterfall moment, but then like it cuts to I don't know if it cut to the coworker or him going to Taiwan first. I think it was the coworker.
I think it
And I
was a
was like,
coworker, and then
yeah.
yeah,
And then Taiwan, and I was like, man,
it's.
this is like 10 minutes too long. It should have cut.
I think
yeah,
it was kind of jarring for me too, because once the waterfall scene ended, I was like, all right, that was great, and then
Yeah.
it did. It kept on going, and even though I did enjoy what was happening, I do feel like they could have rearranged it to where it happened before the waterfall, and like he gets on the train, on the way to the waterfall or whatever. But I still, it didn't really bother
And
me that much, but it was
yeah.
something that I noticed enough to where I feel like they could have rearranged it a bit.
I agree. And another thing that really bugs me about the ending is that the main character does kind of a morally like corrupt thing. He takes the
Oh
ex-boyfriend's
yeah,
passport,
yeah.
and I thought that earlier in the film when he's like doing the slaughterhouse thing where he's like, I wanted to give it back to him, but I just didn't want to see him. I thought that like showing the passport lying on the either was it on the ground or the table, I thought that was like an implication that he gave it back. But then when it said that, oh, I took his passport with me, so if I ever need him, I know where to find him. I'm like, damn, that's actually like really fucked up. Like you're kind of leaving him alone in this place without a way to escape. Like I get that, like
that
I don't,
was
I
yeah.
don't. It just felt so out of place for the character because he didn't do anything like to the. He didn't do anything like outright fucking awful like that. I don't know. Just that last moment just did not sit well with me. I did not think that it was a very good way to end the movie because again the waterfall moment was so great and then like we get a reveal that he kind of I don't know if this is like I think that's like committing a crime maybe. He stole the guy's passport and left him in a country that he wasn't familiar with and is like, "Oh, if I need him, I know where to find him." It's like, "Damn, that's fucked up." Like, I don't know. I
Yeah, I
did
think
not
that's a
like that.
crime. I don't.
I did not like that. I just don't know how I feel about it and I don't think that I just don't think it just did not sit right with me. It felt like with a character that yes was an asshole at points, but he was never like morally. He didn't do anything like wrong. He wasn't like he didn't do anything like morally wrong. But then he did that at the end, and I was like, oh man, I don't like that. And it also didn't help that like I thought that he gave it back. I thought it was implied that he gave it back to him, the passport. But when I discovered that that wasn't the case, I was like, wait, what?
Yeah,
I it it just I think this is a movie that really would have worked better if it just ended at the waterfall. For me at least. It's all personal opinion. It's not like objectivity, but I just don't think
yeah.
I
I
don't
respect
think
that.
that
It
him
makes
stealing the
sense.
passport was the right thing to do. That did not feel right for me.
Yeah.
How'd you guys feel when he took the picture off the fridge? Chang's picture, his coworker when he went to visit their family in I think Hong Kong. Do you guys remember?
That was another thing that like I kind of was like, why would you do that?
Yeah, that one where I was like, all right.
It's like
It's like
I don't know why you would do that. Mm, I thought you wanted to
the
get rid of
only
all
picture
reminders of him.
they had of him. Yeah, he took the only
Yeah,
reminder.
he kind of just straight up like yeah. Sorry, I lost my train of thought, but like
There's a point. There's a point there, but it's just something that I guess I have to look more into
I
because
don't know. Like
I was kind of lost for a second.
I
I was like,
thought the
oh,
implication was that Poe was the manipulative one, and Yu Fi was like trying to get away from him, and the story was
yeah,
sort of about him breaking away from an emotionally abusive relationship. In the end, it ends up with him doing a very abusive thing to him. I don't think I don't know. I don't think that revenge is the right way to end this story. It did not.
Yeah.
It did not come across as a. It just did not work for me.
I mean, I get it. I just think that it doesn't seem like something though that like is too like unbelievable to happen. Like
Yeah. I just wish that they
it
built
seemed
up
like
that. I
something
just wish
someone
they
would
built it up
actually
earlier.
do. Like I feel like that does happen in like stuff like that can happen in a relationship. Like it's that.
No,
Petty
I think
shit.
it can. I think it can. But again, I don't think aside from like a moment where he was like mad at Poe for going out for cigarettes, I think that there wasn't really much development to him having an abusive side. So when he did it,
Yeah.
when he took the passport, it just fell out of nowhere to me. I was just like, "Whoa, what are you doing?" I
No.
didn't know
Yeah.
you were this kind of guy. Like it just
No,
didn't
that
feel
makes
built
sense.
properly built up for me.
So yeah, you're
Yeah.
like you're the argument you're positing is less that nobody in this relationship would do that. It's that it's out of character for him specifically to do that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if maybe I did a bad job of communicating that. I'm sorry, but like that's my point.
No,
It
that
just
makes
didn't.
sense.
It felt
That's
out
valid.
of place for Tony Leung's character.
Yeah, I think I don't know.
Young, I think. Who knows?
But I mean, aside from that, like honest character flaw that I have with him, I think that they both do amazing jobs. The acting is fucking stellar.
Oh
And
Yeah, for
I
sure.
think
It's great
and
acting.
they really sold and I'm also glad that this isn't like a gay romance story that fixates on the fact that they're gay. I like that they don't fixate on that. It's literally just I could see this movie happening between a man and a woman. It doesn't really matter to me.
No,
And
exactly. That's what makes it great.
the
It's not
best
just
I think the best romance stories are stories where they can be in either kind of relation they can be in any kind of relationship and it would apply. It feels real in that regard and that only helps it make it feel more human. And I think that the main
for sure.
character's process with dealing with manipulation also felt pretty relatable. And even if he is like kind of an asshole to random people at times, like when he calls the dude fatty when he's like ordering what was he ordering, a pizza or something, and he's like, hurry up fatty. I was like, oh, okay.
Delicious
Yeah.
Argentinian pizza.
Exactly. Like even when he's like an asshole at times, he's still he's still kind of relatable, even if like even if he is just kind of an asshole sometimes. But again,
For
like
sure.
it feels all human. I still have like a ton of notes. I have like a lot to talk about, so I'm sorry if I'm like stealing the conversation from you guys. I just went overboard with my notes here.
Don't
No,
even
go
worry
for it.
about it. I have very little to say about it. It's just good. It's a good movie.
I kind of
Do
Yeah.
came a
either of you
little
guys have
unprepared
anything to say about
because
like the music or anything?
Oh, I love the music. That was actually one thing I did forget to
Yeah,
say.
It's
like
great.
the accordion theme.
Yeah, it reminded me of the
it's
12
great.
Monkeys score a lot.
Yeah, actually, I was thinking about that too.
Yeah, it's kind of hard not to compare this to his other movies because I do think he uses music in those movies a little bit better, even though the music here is quite fantastic, and the way he
Yeah.
uses it is obviously like his style is just so hypnotic and beautiful. It's just something you can recognize instantly. It's
There's,
something
like-
that I can never get really tired of, like his style and the way he does things.
Yeah, all of his scores feel very jazzy and like blues based. And I think the accordion theme here is like especially great. It's all like very atmospheric and I think again the way that it's used in the ending is like fantastic. Just another reason why I think that waterfall ending is just great. You know?
Yeah, it is.
I'm also glad they actually played Happy Together. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
I was
I like
worried
that
for a
cover
bit. I
a
was
lot.
like, are they gonna do it or not? And they did. So
I was kind of like I did sort of make a bet with myself. I was like, okay, I bet that they're not going to play the Happy Together song. But then when they did it at the very end, I was like, well, all right.
yeah,
I lost, but I also won. So, you know.
It's a very good cover.
it's a great cover.
Yeah, I kind of like how the pitch is like, I guess the pitch is lowered or something like
Well, it's
that.
a different artist.
It's a different artist.
Oh,
Something
it's a different artist?
Yeah.
I thought it was just a lowered, like a pitch lowered version of it.
No, it's a live recording of someone else. I forgot who.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
I did not know that. Well,
Something I
alright.
was wondering, do you guys think that Charlie Kaufman is like a fan of Wong Kar-wai? Has he ever like talked about that? Because in adaptation ends literally the exact same way. As
Oh yeah.
Adaptation
Oh,
ends
you're
with
kinda right, yeah.
they're playing.
Wait! I haven't seen
footage is
adaptation,
sped up.
so don't.
Well, no, just the footage is sped. It's like the same exact, like the footage is sped
Oh.
up.
No, we're not telling you like what the ending is. We're just telling you
Yeah.
that there is
Okay.
Happy Together at
Happy
the end.
Together.
Of
It's the exact same, and I was like, does Charlie Kaufman like really like this movie?
I don't know,
Like,
given how they both talk about love in their movies, I would say that he's probably at the very least seen one of his movies.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably especially Happy Together, based on like how bitter the movie is. I think that like
Oh yeah.
Charlie Kaufman does have a bit of a bitter outlook sometimes on romance, and I think that that sort of
Yeah.
I feel like it reflects. I think that Wong Kar-wai's like bitter look on relationship reflects maybe on Charlie Kaufman's work a little bit. It wouldn't surprise me.
Dang, I gotta watch Adaptation now.
Yeah,
Best
I think it's my favorite
best
Charlie Kaufman script,
movie.
maybe.
Best Charlie Kaufman movie, in my opinion.
Maybe,
Yeah,
yeah,
just
I
make
would
sure
say
to
that too.
watch Being John Malkovich.
Yeah, but you have
first.
to watch Being John Malkovich first.
Yes, that is true. You have to watch that.
I've seen Being John Malkovich, so.
Oh,
Yeah,
so you
cool.
can just watch
Alright, bet.
Adaptation.
One thing I forgot to mention about the characters is that I kind of like how you can never really tell if they're lying or telling the truth to each other.
Mm.
Like there are a couple of scenes where they're talking and one of them like makes a claim and the other says it's false, and I'm kind of like I'm like okay with not knowing the answer because it feels a little bit more interesting. It makes the conversation a bit more like intriguing in that regard because I'm like, oh shit, did he actually do this or is he really just lying about it to like manipulate or something, you know? It honestly feels very it makes the conversations a bit more tense, you know? Like more not suspenseful but like tense, you know? I think another little minor issue I have with this movie is with some of the editing, I guess. Like some of it was very purposeful, but I think some of it also wasn't very purposeful. I think like there was like constant cutting during the scene where Po Wing confronts Yu-Fi about the passport. Like he's like, "Where's my passport?" And like the cutting during that scene was like a little weird to me. But what's funny is that the quiet moment after that scene is genuinely effective.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And there are like quite a few great quiet moments like that, like when the coworker helps Yu-Fi back into his apartment. Um, I think the tape recorder scene was great too. Speaking of that, I think that the movie Weekend by Andrew Haig was highly inspired by this movie because there's a scene with a tape recorder in Weekend where the two main characters where one of the characters gives him a tape recording and just says, "Say whatever you want, you know, say what makes you happy, you know," and he kind of like says nothing for a little bit. And then like in Weekend he eventually says something, but in Happy Together he says nothing. But there's a similar sense of like you know expression in both those scenes that like I remember watching the scene in Happy Together. I was like, I've seen this and this was done almost the same way in Weekend, which I honestly found to be pretty interesting. It's this movie's influence is definitely found in other movies.
Yeah, I haven't seen Weekend in a while, so I would need to rewatch it because I don't remember that scene. But
Movie's fucking I love that movie so much. It's great.
Yeah, I want to watch it really bad.
I think
looks
I think
great.
it might be my personal favorite gay romance movie maybe.
I think it used to be, and then I watched Bly Manor, and I was like, oh.
Nice.
uh
Man, that scene at the bar though.
Oh my god, yeah. The
Shit
scene
hit
at the
hard-
bar,
Shit hit
Yeah.
hard.
it's
Yeah.
that scene.
that breakdown. Yeah.
And I wasn't like expecting to like get really into his headspace at that moment, but the fact that Wong just lingers in the shot and it just stays with him.
Yeah.
The fact that I was looking at his eyes for the most part, I just started almost tearing up. I was like, "What the fuck?"
I know.
Like
It's
it
a
just
real-
hit
it's a
me.
real
It hits you like a
testament to
brick.
Tony Leung's it's a real
Yeah,
testament
that's-
to Tony Leung's ability.
Yeah,
Even though I do love his performance in the Mood for Love, I do think this performance from his is slightly better in Happy Together. Even though they're just like both different, it's just a testament to his
I think
wonderful acting.
also the scene with the
Yeah.
telephone where he calls his father is another great moment where I'm just like, holy
Mhm.
shit, that's fucking great.
Yeah.
And there's also the scene where he hugs his
Legend.
coworker, you know, that like very
Oh yeah,
like,
that's a great
warm hug.
scene.
That was a great
Yeah.
moment too. You know, I
I
honestly
kind of do
feel
wish
like I
the
felt
coworker was introduced earlier.
yeah,
just a
I
little
wish
bit
that he was
earlier.
like kind of. I wish that he may have like met him while he was working at the bar or working at the
Mm-hmm.
whatever that place was, that like club. I wish that was. I wish that
Yeah.
he was one of his coworkers there, or at least
Yeah.
met him there, you know, and got introduced to him, and then maybe that's how he got the job at the restaurant. Like it would. I think that would have
Yeah.
worked a lot better.
It's a dynamic that I really enjoyed watching that I wouldn't have minded, seeing more.
Yeah, honestly, I felt more invested in the film when after Poe kind of like left for a little while. and it was mainly him and the coworker, I felt a lot more invested.
Yeah.
Because it was about recovery and healing, and I really connected to that.
Like
Oh,
Wong
yeah.
also does like comedy really well. Like
Sure does.
like that one moment where like the girl asks him out to go to the movies, he's like, "Nah, I don't want to," or whatever.
He
I
says
just
something
found it
actually
funny,
pretty
like-
fucking insulting. Like he says, I
Yeah.
can't remember what he says, but like I was like, damn, that
He
was
does say
kind of a
something
hard
insulting.
fucking rejection.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff like that, like where interacting with the locals in Argentina just felt so natural and like it was amusing and awesome to see.
It was, yeah.
It's all very lived in. It doesn't feel like, I don't know, did they actually make any sets or were they just filming and things, you know? I think they
I can
just
never tell with
went
Wong
to the
Kar Wai.
streets.
I can never
Yeah,
tell.
that's the thing. You can never tell if they actually like
I think that
make
maybe
sets.
In the Mood for Love was a set because that one
Yeah,
feels
I imagine that one is
a bit more
yeah.
precise than his other
That
ones.
one has to
But
be,
I think that maybe Fallen Angels and this one and maybe Chungking Express may not have been sets. I
They
know that
just- I don't
2046
know,
was
it's-
mostly sets because it's like a future movie,
Yeah.
but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I'm glad that I finally got to see a movie with Tony Leung where he's like actively like getting his acting chops done, and that's another reason why I'm like really excited to watch more Wong Kar Wai.
Oh, he's
Like
one of the
before-
best Chinese actors in
Yeah,
my
Yeah.
opinion.
He's
the
so
only the only exposure I've gotten of Wong Kar Wai is like fucking Shang-Chi, and that doesn't really count. So like,
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, no, Tony Leung has done quite a few great movies, and he really deserves more
Shang-Chi,
praise than he
so-
gets because he doesn't deserve Shang-Chi. He deserves so much
Was
better.
he good in Shang-Chi though?
yeah,
I imagine he was good for what he was given with.
the acting in Marvel movies have never really been the issue. It's more
It's always
been
just
Right,
been
it's the
like
writing.
it's been the
they're
writing.
not playing they're not really playing a character unless it's like Josh Brolin or Tom Hiddleston.
Yeah,
They're just
For
kind of
Shang-Chi's
playing
sister,
the
though, that's some of the
stoic
driest
guy, you
acting
know,
ever.
or the menacing guy, you know.
I mean, like Tony Leung's character in Shang-Chi, his motivation was interesting, but like
Yeah,
he was an
The
idiot.
only
His
character with
plan made
actual
no sense.
motivation.
I saw
Yeah,
I
but
saw a
look-
video calling him the greatest MCU villain. I was like, oh,
No,
it's kind of
no.
excessive.
We're getting a little off topic.
At least he
Yeah,
has
back to-
motivation. Like, Shang-Chi
Yeah.
is literally like a snooze fest character.
Yeah, he has motivation in Happy Together for sure.
He's a
And-
dilf.
And also, oh god, and also,
Sorry.
I know we talk about Tony Leung and his breakdown scenes, but I want to take a moment that the other actor, I forgot his fucking name and I forgot to write it down. But his character, Po Wing's
yeah.
breakdown, is so well done to me, and like also, I
It is
love the
for sure.
moment. I love the scene
Leslie
where
Chung. Yeah.
where Yu-Fi goes into the bathroom and like he looks in the mirror and like I guess he like there's like a little there's like a little cut and it shows like Po Wing almost to represent that like he feels like Po Wing like hooking up with random guys in a bathroom like that
Mhm.
that moment
Yeah.
that was a great example of purposeful editing that I connected to, and
Yeah,
and
Leslie Chung is a great.
That was a
actor,
great
too.
moment.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, and it didn't. The editing conveyed with what Wong Kar Wai was trying to show without like explicitly like shoving it down my throat, and that I really appreciate. It's a great version of It's a great thing of visual storytelling, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah, Leslie Chung just transforms himself, easily to any character because he's in Days of Being Wild, which in that movie he plays much of a more shy and quiet guy. And he's even
Yeah, I
in
wanna
Ashes
see
of
that.
Time where he plays like a warrior. But like in all of those movies, it doesn't feel like one actor. It just feels like several different people.
Yeah.
which I really
he
love.
feels like a much different character in here than he does in the Mood for Love.
Yeah.
Mhm.
He's
So much so where I don't think I can like say which one is better because they're both very different. One is more like I feel like in the Mood for Love is kind of more stoic is the wrong word. He's more like, quiet, almost brooding, And in this movie he's more like outright and kind of like, bombastic is a little not that's the wrong word. But you know what I mean. He's a bit more expressive in this movie whereas in the Mood for Love he's more
Right.
intentionally held back, like just a little bit,
I
Yeah.
got you.
Even in Chunking.
Yeah, Chungking too, I think, is another good example where he's playing a different character, even if I don't love that movie as much as everyone else does. One last thing I want to mention is something that I feel like I see in every Wong Kar Wai movie, and I meant to mention this earlier with the whole editing, or like the music, but all his movies have really great Foley work, you know?
Yep.
Mm.
Hmm.
Like the sounds that like they make while, moving stuff around and all that stuff. It feels a lot, it feels less, processed or like, like it was made in a sound booth, It feels like they really just put a mic on the table and like recorded setting a glass down in this, apartment kind of thing. And, I really
It
like that.
does, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot about this movie that I really, really, truly appreciate and love. But at the same time, there's just like a couple of things that just keep me from feeling that 100%, oh, this is an amazing movie kind of feeling, because I feel like there's just a couple moments for me personally that just don't work as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd have to say I agree, but I connected with everything, so I
No,
loved
and
it
that
too
that
much.
makes sense, man. And everyone has that one Wong Kar-wai film, and everyone has that other one that they just don't connect with, I think. And
Yeah,
that really, I kind of like that about Wong, because there's always one movie that even like the most hardcore cinephiles can always say like, oh, I actually like that one a lot.
yeah, exactly.
I'm glad. And I think I said all I need to say. I kind of went through all my notes by this point. So Jacob, closing thoughts and rating, I guess. Go ahead.
All right, yeah. I mean, I think I've already said. I mean, in my opinion, it's a masterpiece. It's in my top 20. I just love everything about it. It's
Hmm.
probably one of my favorite romance films. It just portrays it so well, and yeah, it's super emotionally impactful to me. So I'm gonna give it a 10 out of 10.
Nice.
It's another wonderful, wonderful film from Mr. Wong. It's very visceral. It's something that's gonna linger in my mind for a few days. Even like after I've seen it, I want to watch it again.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's saturated wonderfully, and yeah, I don't have much to say. It's one of those that everybody should watch. If you look into the window of like your next door neighbor or whatever, this is like that movie. This is what it would
Yeah,
be.
it's kind of like that's kind of like a
You
lot
know,
of his movies, really, and that
it
feels
feels
really
like we're on
purposeful.
like a fly on the wall, just experiencing it. Even it's something that we're intruding and we shouldn't be experiencing this, but that's what
And
cinema
that's
is. But
honestly to me why I can deal with not having the so much development, which I get. Again, I get
yeah,
why Vinny
hmm
you have an issue with, or why you don't like, why you wish that it was a bit more developed upon. I 100% that makes sense to me. I'm not like at all like making fun of you or criticizing your view on it. I just think that for me, I think that the fly on the wall aspect is why I don't need that much development in my eyes, at least.
exactly.
Yeah,
There's not really
exactly.
a starting point.
Hmm.
It just starts.
You don't
It
you
just
You're
don't
just
is.
kind of dropped in the middle of it, yeah.
yeah, you don't
Yeah.
need that much development because it's already so well written. It's just
But yeah, it's wonderful. Go watch it. I'll give this 8 out of 10.
All right. My closing thoughts. I know I kind of hijacked a lot of the conversation here and there. I just had a lot to say about this one because with
Totally over
movies
it.
like this, where like a lot of people in the chat love it, like Bob and Seth and like everybody, like some of the people who weren't here, they love it so much. And I was writing notes, preparing to like defend my point of view. And I just was like, so sorry about that. Anyway, I think that this movie just really is another Wong Kar-wai film that I can safely say I enjoyed a lot. I I certainly liked it a lot more than I did 2046 and Ashes of Time, whatever that was. Sorry, no. As Tears Go By, that's what it's called. And Chungking Express, I think I enjoyed it more than that. And I can probably see it going up in rating on a second watch. It's a very brutally honest romance film with a realistic and not at all cheesy manipulation and all that kind of stuff. It feels genuinely human and messy to the point where it also feels human. I kind of like that about Wong Kar-wai films. Sometimes they have a genuine feel of like messiness to them that also feels human. And yeah, I got a lot out of it, and I can see it going up in rating on a second watch, maybe, or maybe just over time of thinking about it and maybe watching a couple more Wong Kar-wai movies, even though that's not going to be for a while because I need a break from Mr. Kar-wai. Yeah, I really do love a lot of it, and I think I'm giving it a 7 out of 10. It's probably closer to an 8 than a 6, so I guess a strong 7.
Nice. Vinny.
Okay. Yeah. Overall, I don't want to repeat too much of what everybody else has said, but overall, it's a beautifully made film. It's a beautifully crafted film. The characters are dense and relatable and interesting, and Just everything about how the movie looks is brilliant, and I just overall I can't really come up with any real active flaws, especially with the writing. So I think it's just one of those instances where I just don't personally connect with it, and it's all that's always the thing that I hate the most. I hate when there's a really well-made movie where all the puzzle pieces are there and something just doesn't click. It had happened
Fine.
with the man who wasn't. It happened with the man who wasn't there, and it happened with this movie. I'm very excited to see what else Wong Kar-wai has to offer in his filmography. I think it can only go uphill from here because this is already a really fantastically made movie, and
Yeah.
I'm going to give it a strong 7 out of 10 to light 8.
Nice.
Coolio.
All right. So before we go, you guys know the drill. The next recommendation will be
from Bob, who's
Bob.
not here.
And unfortunately, they couldn't make it, but
Yeah.
their next recommendation will be, since it's spooky season, we're going to be watching Halloween 1 and Halloween 2 from Rob Zombie.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
So that's Halloween from 2007 and Halloween 2
So
from
not
2009.
the original Halloween, the Halloween
Nope.
from 2007 that Rob Zombie did. Okay, all right. I mean, I haven't seen them in a long time. I've always been kind of like lukewarm on Rob Zombie. I think that House of a Thousand Corpses is like my favorite. Will probably be the only movie from him that I'll genuinely enjoy. I don't know, maybe.
Yeah.
That's
So
like the
stay
only movie from
tuned.
him that I kind of like.
If you don't want to be spoiled, tune in and watch them.
Oh, geez.
Yep.
And yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.
Goodbye, people.